Dive into the heart of Cleveland's business community with the Cleveland Burning Podcast. Join me, Kim Kitchen, owner of Burning River Marketing, and Kirk Tietz, owner of Cleveland Custom Coatings, as we explore the untold stories of local business owners. In this engaging series, we focus on the setbacks, accidents, and unexpected turns that pave the way for ultimate success. So just like the Cuyahoga River ignited change in the city, our podcast showcases how adversity can spark innovation and growth. Hear from passionate entrepreneurs who have braved the flames of failure and emerged stronger and more resilient. Get ready for candid conversations and a behind-the-scenes look at the business landscape in Cleveland. What's up, Kirk?
You're going to be proud of me.
Okay.
I finally went inside the gym.
Ooh.
I did. I told the trainer in there, he said, what are you looking for? I said, I'm looking to have a smoking hot body. He kind of looked me up and down. He laughed a little. He said, well, I think the only way you're going to get that through is cremation.
Oh, gosh.
Anyways, I left there. I was on my way home and I saw my ex.
Oh.
And that's when I realized the phrase I'd hit that changes over time.
Well, hopefully you didn't hit that. Well, welcome to the Cleveland Burning Podcast, where we dive into stories of local professionals who've braved the flames of adversity and emerged stronger than ever. I'm your host, Kim Kitchen.
And I'm Kirk Tietz. And today we're interviewing Lamar Chase, the owner of Chase Electric. I'll go ahead and
that'd be great.
Introduce Lamar. I met Lamar a number of years back at a job site we were working on. And we got to talking. I mean, you could tell right away we were friends from the minute we met. And at one point, I remodeled my entire house, gutted it down to the framework and everything. Had done a little bit of kind of this and that work, and I had done some temporary wiring, we'll call it, in the meantime. And I called him and I said, hey, I know you know your electric stuff really well. You know, if you come over and take a look at my house and see what it cost me to rerun all new electric, all new outlets, lights, everything, all brand new. And he came over and he looked at my house. And when he was done, he came in the room and he said, Kirk, I'm going to make a deal with you. I'm going to come over here and set you right, take care of your electric. You just promised never to touch electrical work ever again.
Ever. And
so that's the agreement that we've kept since then. His work was so clean in the new box and everything. I had an AC unit installed. The HVAC company comes over with 3 guys.
Okay.
First guy comes in, he says, I need to see the power box. I took him to it. He opens up. He just stands there in astonishment. Every wire run perfectly bent, perfectly next to the next wire. You know, not all bundled up or, you know, not shooting straight into the box or anything like that. And he was just so amazed that he went out and called the other 2 guys in. Next thing you know, I got these 3 HVAC guys standing there with their cameras taking pictures of the
I was going to ask
box.
if they're taking pictures.
And I was just so proud. Like, yeah, that's my dude, right? That's my guy. Came over here
Lamar.
and took care of that. So his work's great. I know that he can do just about anything. He's actually upgraded some of my house to do some smart features that I didn't have before in an old home. And, you know, and I know the limit, you know, it's almost limitless what he can do as far as the, you know, smartphones, outlets, you know, looking at your power. I sent him to another house. A buddy of mine needed some work. He called me back. He said, hey, Kirk, you need you know, this power box needs, the panel box needs to be replaced. It's got Pacific Union. It's not if, it's when it catches on fire. You know, and so he cares about making sure that the work's done right, certified, does amazing work.
How long have you been doing, is it electric work? What is that?
Electrical work. So the reality of that was probably when I was 13 years old. That's when I got introduced to it. My uncle was an electrician in Painesville, and he used to pay me a meal and about $20 a day to go out and do the tedious work, outlets, plugging switches in, and things like that. So I've been around it since I was 13. As far as knowing what I'm doing, probably about 22 years now.
So when did you become a licensed electrician? Like make it official, do your tests or whatever you got to do?
When I found out I wasn't going to be a famous rapper or producer.
Oh. So last year?
Yeah. Well,
I mean, I think there's still hope.
yeah, I mean, yeah, it's been a while now. Probably about professionally, as far as working for other companies and things like that, it's been about that 21
Okay.
years. As far as when I decided that I was done making contractors money,
So when
was
you went to make yourself money
when I
instead of
wanted to
someone
make
else,
myself money. It's been about 6 years now.
Okay.
About 6 years now. So
Cool.
yeah.
I love it. Now, with a licensed electrician, like, do you have to keep? I know they keep changing the codes because my house was built in 1870,
Mm-hmm.
and I think they put the electricity in whenever electricity was invented.
Absolutely.
After that, and then they
Absolutely.
took out the knob and tube. There's still some remnants of seeing that. So,
She's
like,
saying Benjamin Franklin wired her
right?
house.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
real.
Yeah,
real.
Ben was good, but we
A little outdated.
a little outdated.
So
Yeah.
what's interesting is I feel like you can look at my house and like so a lot of our outlets, I think all of our outlets are on the floor because they didn't go into the walls,
Because it
to
was an
put
old
it. So
house,
yeah, they
yeah.
put it underneath. So
Yeah.
you can kind of look at my house and see like every time the codes were rewritten or something. And I know they do it a lot. So how do you keep up with that?
So to keep your credentials, you have to attend a code class every year.
Okay.
So it's crazy. Being an electrician is similar to being a doctor. I mean,
Yeah.
you're always in some sort of class.
Mm-hmm.
You're always so we have to require code agreements every year, and that's when they tell us like what's new, what's coming out, what's innovated, what's become law, what might become law. The funny thing about code though is like right now we have the 2023 code that has been implicated, and it was implicated in 2021. However, because of the time that it takes for big industry to get rid of their back supplies, and because
Of like equipment and stuff or what?
so
Back supplies of.
supplies,
Okay.
code is basically what there's a lot of things in electrical are just common sense. Like you need this size wire to get this much current to get from here to there. Like things are common sense. Now, code is put into place to make things safe.
Okay.
And a lot of code is worthy of being code.
But some of it's not. I can tell by like your body language. Like
A lot of code is because, like any other industry, like as far as Kirk, I mean, his industry is probably dominated by Sherman Williams. All right, our industry is dominated by Siemens and
Okay.
big companies like that. And when some smart guy that is sitting over there at some big company says, "Hey, these arc fault features are definitely needed in the house because it can increase their profits,"
Okay.
then they make it code, and now we have to put it into homes. So
So I'm thinking as an example, because in my house, I've got two prong outlets and I work with a lot of home inspectors. And so we've got content on their website about what to do with the two prong outlet. So I've
Right.
done a bunch of research on like,
Right.
you don't necessarily, you can still buy a house with two prong outlets. It's not a big deal. But at some point, they obviously changed the code to make it where you need a three prong outlet and you need
Right.
that GFC thing in the bathrooms and in the kitchens and anywhere near water, right?
Right.
So, like, that's an example of like when they might change the code, but like the two prong outlets are still functional. They're not going to trip
They
anything.
are functional. The only thing about that is it's just an inconvenience because they made everything now three prongs to
Right.
plug into the wall.
Right.
And the funny thing about that is the two prong to three prong only matters is if you're in an apartment complex or multi-housing unit where you have one power supply that goes to different panels. When you have one power supply that's coming in from the street, that becomes your main panel, and say there's three other units in this structure, then you have a panel that controls the power in this unit, this unit, this
Okay.
unit. Those become sub panels. Now, as far as electric, and we won't get into the bothersome and the boring stuff about that,
Grounding and all that
ground
fun
and all
stuff.
that stuff, but as far as you're in a main panel,
Yeah.
my neutral bar and my grounding bar are all connected.
Right.
They're interchanged together. Some things might mess up with computer and technology in the sub panel if you have those things grounded to the same system. But as far as the main panel goes, your grounding is kind of back to the neutral bar
Anyway,
anyway.
yeah.
So when you talk about arc fault protection and all this stuff, yeah, it's feasible in certain applications where I would need it, but in a lot of places it's just changing the price of me changing your panel out from 500 to 1500
Oh, okay.
because
Right.
instead of buying a $6 breaker,
Mm-hmm.
now you gotta buy $80 breakers, and you multiply that by how many circuits are in your home. You see how much
Yeah,
money big
absolutely.
business is getting.
Right.
So
And then if you've got a 3 unit or, then that just multiplies
multiply by
quickly.
whatever it may
Yeah.
be. But yeah, it's a lot of the technology is definitely warranted. It makes a lot of sense, and it's feasible. Like now in the new code, which isn't implicated yet because they still have back panels, but main panel where you have outside your house, you have your meter base where you see the lines that are coming from outside, whether they be above or below.
Mm-hmm.
They come into your house, and there's a meter where the power company can charge you. They see how much energy that you've used. Back in the day, as you see it, these units that go straight into your house or into the building, then there's a panel which has a disconnect. Now there's a distance that can come from these issues. Now, first responders were having problems because when houses were catching on fire, they would go into a house and they couldn't get to the disconnect in the house because there's smoke or there's some type of barrier that they can't get through or
Okay.
just can't see it.
Right.
And so those implications where there's now meter bases with power disconnects on the outside, those are feasible. That makes sense. That saves lives. If a fireman has to go in and has to poke up and he hits a live line because he can't get to the main breaker downstairs to turn it off to do his job, it makes sense. Okay, yeah, we can go outside and we can turn this off. But a lot of things in the industry just don't make
Right.
sense.
Right.
So, but we got to do what we got to do. It's called code.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the reason why you don't normally want a handyman or your boyfriend like doing your electrical work, right? I mean, nothing against handymen, but I know sometimes you get somebody that says they know how to do electric stuff, and then before
Yeah.
you know it, your house looks like Kirk's before you got there.
People,
Yeah.
let me tell you something. People get shocked as soon as they find out how bad of an electrician I am.
It's awful. It's awful. So, and that's what I tell people all the time. Like, a lot of people get upset because our prices are sometimes high.
Yeah, they'll be higher than
And
that.
the thing is, like, I'll charge you a number, and then I go in, and then you seem as you're dissatisfied because the amount of work and the time that I took there sometimes doesn't add up to the number that you paid. But it's a lot
your
of it is because
expertise.
you're paying for the knowledge that I have.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing this for a very long time, so I can cut the steps.
Yeah.
So when Kirk tells me that, hey, I got this switch over here that when I turn it on over here, it turns on the light, but when I go down to the other end and I turn that switch down, it turns the light off, but I come back over here and I turn the switch on, it doesn't work.
It sounds like
Well,
my house.
I can know because of experience that, oh, you got a traveler in a common reverse.
Of course,
Like,
it's a traveler
you
in a
know,
common reverse.
Exactly, because
I didn't
Duh.
and it's just because I've done it a million times.
Right.
So
Right.
you're not going to keep doing it the hard way.
Well, and if you just hire some random that's not licensed, then they're gonna have to pull everything apart, try 3 different things to troubleshoot. They can't just tell you have a
Right.
traveler and a common reverse.
Right.
So
And the thing is, like, I say this gingerly, but being an electrician, honestly, isn't hard when it comes to putting things in. I mean, you got black, white, green,
yeah,
bear, or whatever it might be. And those are your 3 colors. As long as you know how to match colors together, you could probably get a circuit to get from here to over there. Absolutely. But as far as it's when you have a problem, like when something doesn't work, do you know how to fix it? And that's what separates the handyman from the electrician.
yeah,
I tell people, I don't like my employees and stuff that work with me. I don't necessarily pay for their time. That's what a lot of people think. Like, I'm getting paid for my time. But you're actually getting paid for the skill that you bring and what you can accomplish during that time. Right? So it's the
Yeah.
same, if you're looking at what he's saying, it's the same like an employee. If a person can only accomplish so much in 1 hour, you can only pay them so much for that hour.
Exactly.
Sure.
If they want to earn more, because I'm not paying for the time, I'm paying
Right.
for the skills.
Exactly.
Just raise your skills, raise your price, right? That's the concept.
That
so
makes
I
sense.
mean, it's tough for some people to understand that because
Yeah.
they do just see, oh, it was just this and I paid for this. But there's still, if you're calling a even HVAC electrician, plumber, they've got to drop what they're doing, drive there, set up, isolate the problem, get the supplies, do the work. So there's a time investment in that. That's more than just the 30 minutes or 40 minutes they
Absolutely.
see you doing work.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of that happens in the industry, even with us.
Absolutely. It's the trades. It's hard. It's hard to navigate the trades at a fair price.
So the theme of our podcast is overcoming difficulties, right? Things that you've been through. Sometimes there's a moment where you go, "What am I doing?" And maybe I should have just stayed as an employee.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we would really love to hear, if you have a failure that made you rethink the electrical and going back to rapping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And would also like for you to rap a little bit.
Oh man, those days are gone now. This G-rated, right?
Oh, that's right. We can't have you rap.
That's a side podcast.
Yeah, that's too short, lively. But I think the biggest thing for me was understanding that all money ain't good money. And as a contractor, as somebody that's venturing out on their own, at the end of the day, we're here to make money. And
Sure.
there's a lot of times where good money is hard to come by. So you're up against people. Newsflash here, all people ain't good people.
Yeah.
Everything that everybody says shouldn't always be taken at face value.
Not everyone's your friend.
Not
Yeah.
hardly anybody's your friend.
Right.
Especially when it comes to the business world. And it's as far as my industry goes, we get a lot of money from guys that are out here flipping homes and things like that. And
They're looking to pay the least amount.
they're looking to pay the least amount, and then they don't really care about the family that's going to live in the home. They care about
the money
net
they're making a
proceeds.
profit. Yeah.
Exactly, the profit line. And which is fine and dandy with a lot of things, except for stuff that could actually, like, I have to have there's a family that could live in here.
Yeah.
There could be some children that could live in here that 15, 20 years from now. And even though 15, 20 years from now, Lamar Chase's name might be removed from doing some work in here, if there's some work that I've done in this house that could endanger somebody,
Yeah,
like
that's
that's
not
something
cool.
that I have to live with. So when I say all money ain't good money, there's people that you got to navigate through because, again, I have a family that I have to feed. But I learned that I had to set my own standards because if I tried to appease the builder, for instance, 14 gauge wire. I left Ryan Holmes. I used to wire. Am I allowed to name drop?
Yeah. Well.
I
Yeah. Fine with me.
I used to wire for
Everybody
Ryan
knows
Holmes.
about Ryan Holmes.
Yeah. I mean, they're not going to
And-
sue us for slander, are
I
they?
mean, it's just the reality of it because they know that what they do. See, code is what's minimally accepted, and any electrician's not going to put any type of 14 gauge wire in their home other than running a smoke or a light line on because
So 14 gauge is insufficient for anything that's actually going to have a lot of power.
well, it is sufficient, but it's capacity.
Okay.
Okay, so let's put it like this, if you had 500 pounds of material that you needed to take from point A to point B, you wouldn't get or go rent a vehicle that has a 500-pound capacity.
Right.
You would want to make sure that your vehicle at least has a 750-pound capacity or
Yep.
something, because if you hit a bump, you don't want something to break.
Yeah.
Because you're at capacity already. 14 gauge wire, you can only put 15 amps of service onto it.
Okay.
15 amps of voltage going through it. Most vacuums today have 14 amp startup.
Oh boy.
Okay, so when you turn on a vacuum, you have 14 amps of power that's being pulled through this switch.
That has a 15 amp
It
capacity.
has a 15 amp capacity.
Other things are probably on
So if
it,
you
right?
have a toaster running
Yeah.
on the same circuit that you now are trying to vacuum in some room, and you turn it on, now you're going down to the breaker because it's tripped,
What a
because
pain.
now you're at 15, 16
Yep.
amps for that 1 second. So code says that you can keep this in here because, yeah, it works.
Right.
But convenience is a little bit better. I don't want to have to go down there every time I start my vacuum.
Absolutely.
So it sounds like you're getting to the point where you're saying you didn't want to accept jobs that were doing things under code, or
or even
No, they were
they're
doing
at
jobs
code, technically.
or barely at code, where
or
you feel
at codes.
responsible.
Exactly, because code is the minimum standard that's allowed, and this is big industry again. So all these people, it's not like the guy that sits on the board of Eden is only sitting on the board of Eden. He's also on the board of these builders over here, because the construction industry goes together.
Yes.
You know, like if I'm an electrician, I want to have a building company because it all goes together. It's all construction. So he's not going to limit himself to where he has to pay more money, like, because there's projects that you want to do the bare minimum in.
Right. Like the house flipping
Like the
projects you're
house
talking about.
flipping,
Yeah.
like big electrical companies. It doesn't make a difference for me if I spend $150 for 200 feet of 14 2-wire, or if I spend $170 for the same amount of 12 2-wire. Like that.
What's 12 too? That's a thicker
That's
gauge.
the thicker gauge.
Okay.
And that is what is standard.
How many amps can go through?
20.
Okay.
And that's what's normal.
That's what they should
That's
do.
what's normal.
Yeah.
Right. And
that's what
today's
you wanna
houses,
do.
and that's what you want to do. So there's not much difference for me. But however, if I was buying 1,000,000 feet of this, and I'm saving $20 per every 250 feet, then that ends up 200, 300 some $1,000. So of course, then yeah, might as well pat my pockets with that money, because I'm still at code.
Right.
But
So did you find a way to kind of like be more exclusive about what type of customers you take on?
so reputable. That's honestly what it goes down to. I mean, like, if you want a good roof, you're not gonna see a guy that's just driving down the street and has some roofing material
Yeah,
on
in his pickup truck.
pickup truck
That's rusted
and,
out.
and you tell him, "Hey, come put a roof on my
Yeah.
house."
Wait, so the guy I saw at the bar is not going to do a good job on my house?
It depends on who he works for. But you're gonna want somebody that's reputable, that at the end has some type of care about their work, and that's where it comes into me at, like, having a little bit of professional pride goes a long way. Like Kirk said, went in there, and people make a big thing about how the panel is laid out. Well, that's how I was taught.
Yeah.
I was taught that, here's the thing, electrical, 90% of it, when you start working with these inspectors, like, they're lazy, they're human.
Sure.
And a lot of them aren't going to get up in the attic and open up a junction box and make sure things are correctly jointed and things like that. So they're going to look on presentation. And if they walk into one of my jobs, what they're going to see is that these 6 lines that are running along this rafter, they're about a half inch apart. They're super straight. They're nice and flat. Like, they look good. The reason they look good is because I have professional pride. And I know how important it is as appearance goes. When they open up the panel, they're going to see that they have 90s. I call them rib cages. That's just how I was taught. And they're going to see that the 90s come down. They're perfectly going in the slant. That's for 2 things, because electrical, you're always going to be messing with it. I don't know who's going to come after me.
Right. So you need to make
Kirk
it easy
hired
for
me,
them. Yeah.
right? Kirk hired me, but who's to say that I don't give this up in 10 years and he needs somebody to come fix his box? So
Absolutely.
when he goes in there, they're gonna go and they're gonna be like, "Oh, okay, I know exactly what this guy did.
Yep.
The blueprint's right here, and it's easy to get to." When I went into Kirk's box,
You were like, what is this
it's
going
like,
to?
okay, yeah, pretty much we just have to open up everything and get everything back together. So it's presentation's everything. If Kirk goes into a place and he shows the picture of a house perfectly painted, the lines are nice and tight, and the wipes don't have any fingerprints on it because after he was done, he wiped up. Then it's easy for him to get a job the next time because
Yep.
it looks like you know what you're doing.
So let me ask you this. Like I'm struggling right now with there's a client that I've taken on who really expects a lot more. I do SEO and I do email marketing and pretty much any type of digital marketing, but my main focus is SEO. And I'm getting asked to do things that have nothing to do with that. And
Yeah.
I'm pushing back, and I'm saying like that has nothing to do with SEO or
Yeah.
email marketing. It doesn't touch digital marketing at all. But sometimes somebody like they hire you, and then they expect that like you're their slave. You're now indentured to them because
Yeah.
they're our client.
Yeah.
So how do you like what type of language do you use to kind of like just say I'm not going to take on this job, or do you just overbid it and hope they don't take it on, and you figure like if they do take it on, you've given that like have to deal with your BS buffer, so it's kind of worth it. Like how do you deal with that?
It's kind of easier for me than it is for you because I deliver a specific service. Like as far as SEO goes with you, like
It's like an
so,
ongoing
it's
relationship.
like
It's annoying.
it's when I put a panel in and I leave, then we're done.
Yeah.
You
Pay
know,
me.
like
Yeah.
we're done. Like you can see it, you can physically see it. It's SEO, like it takes a while for them to see it, and then they think that you need to do this more. But that's another good thing. I had to learn how to be affirmative, and I had to learn what my worth was. Honestly, um, my wife tells me all the time I always undersell myself because I know that the skill that I have, you could charge a lot for. And I try to keep it to a point where I make what I need to make, but I don't beat anybody up. Because a lot of my work comes easy,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of times where it's difficult. So, to get back to your question, basically what I would say is know your worth. And at the beginning, it's about telling them what the service entails.
Yeah. Setting the
You
expectations.
got to box it out.
Yeah.
You got to box it out. Like when I tell them that I'm going to go in and I'm going to redo their grounding, I mean that I'll go in and I'll make sure that your gas and everything is bonded and that you have a street line bound down and that you have an earth bound in. When they talk about, okay, my cable's not working and things like that, I'm sorry, you're going to have to call your cable company.
Right. Not my problem.
I put in the basic grounding. Now they're going to have to come out and fix their things.
Yep.
When I was taught in painting, my old boss used to always say, the price and how fast you get the project done will be long forgotten, and your work's still going to be standing there for a lot of people to see.
Absolutely.
Right. And so in our trade, that's one of the things,
Absolutely.
in the trades, that's one of the things you always have to look out. So you'll be gone, but my paintwork's still there.
It's still
If
there.
I paint your house and then you have a holiday party and another holiday party and a summer barbecue, people come in, they see the work. What they don't know is that I hurried up and got it done because it needed to be done in 2 days, or they don't see that I gave you a
Right.
cheap price because I'm your
Exactly.
friend. What they see the work.
Exactly.
And that's what a reflection of my business for years to come.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, cool. I mean, it sounds like you have definitely learned a lot over the years doing electrical work. We usually like to leave on a fun note. So tell us something new and exciting going on with your business. Anything you've got to promote, or any way that our listeners can help you and Chase Electric.
Interesting. So, I guess the big thing is I just joined a BNI group for
Woohoo.
the very first time in my life, a tag team group.
Yeah.
And I tell you, as a skeptic, to many things because of my upbringing, heritage, and things like that. I'm presently surprised with the BNI group, and it's more or less not for the advancement of my company per se, but it's more the investment of my brand.
Yeah, that's cool.
The thing is, like, yeah, I'm Lamar the electrician, but we all work to not work, correct?
Yep, correct. Absolutely.
Like, that's the thing. That's the goal. You try to work. I mean, a lot of us can't make it because we're stuck. But the plan is to work to the point that you build some stuff that you don't have to work anymore and you can pass the responsibilities down to somebody else, down to your children, whatever it may be. And the BNI group is a vessel to that because just sitting there, you just see that everything that I need to whatever journey.
Right.
Like Kirk, like I'm gonna be an electrician, but I want to be a builder.
Okay.
That's where I want to do, and
So that's your goal. Your end goal is to be a builder.
that's what we're going to do.
Oh, cool.
That's what we're going to do. And whereas before I joined this BNI group, it was like a 10-year fantasy dream. How we're going to get these investors to get it together. Now, within a week of joining the BNI group, I'm
You
like,
can
wow,
start seeing all the pieces
this
falling
time
in.
next year,
Yeah.
you know, like not only are we going to be doing what I thought we were going to be doing, we should surpass it within 5 years, whereas 10 year, like it puts everything within your hands.
Right.
Like there's everybody, anybody, and as you see, if you don't have them, you just go get them.
Right. No, I love that. BNI was huge for me. I mean, so for those of you listening that don't know what BNI, it's Business Networking International. Basically, there's chapters all across the globe. We have 54, I think, in Northeast Ohio, and there's several in just the greater Cleveland area. So you guys are in one that's in Berea that meets on Fridays. You can only have one person per category, so only one electrician, one painter. So if anybody out there is listening and you're in the trades, consider joining Tag Team, because one of the things I love about it is that you have to brand your business, you have to know your business, you stand up and give either a 30-second to a minute commercial about who it is you're looking for and how everyone in that room can help you with your business. So it's almost like a business coach in the way that like you have to take accountability weekly for your business and where it's going and what you want from that group. And people only join because they want to help each other. Otherwise you shouldn't be joining, because the whole reason why you join is to learn how to help each other. So like when you say what you want, Kirk is big on this, especially if you just throw it out in the universe. If you tell the universe what you want and what you expect, that is going to come to you,
Absolutely.
So it's a way to do that every week.
Absolutely.
So now, are you going to be like Chase Builders, or like what's the...
We're going to stay Chase Electric.
Okay.
And I entered as the electrician. So first and foremost, the goal is to try to help everybody that's in there with a steady, good electrician.
Yeah, that's hard to find.
Yeah, it really is. And outside of that, then it's to actually build the amount of money that we make within the BMI group. Again, like I said, the construction field is so related. I mean, I need Kirk. He's a painter. That's finishing. I know kid Jeremy that we just met in the group. I think
Love
he's been on
him.
the podcast
HVAC.
before. HVAC.
Yeah.
Like, these new houses, they need heating and cooling. And
Yeah.
the fact that it's more accountability. Like it's like I was telling Kirk, if he sends me out to a job, I'm gonna do that job as better than probably I would do it for myself, because Kirk got me that job and I want to make him look good. I'm representing him.
Yep.
So when I go out, I'm gonna show my butt off for Kirk. Just like I know when I ask Kirk to go do a job for me,
He's going to do the same thing.
I don't have to walk behind him.
Right,
I can rest easy tonight knowing that when Kirk is finished, when him and his team is done, then the client is going to be happy.
Yeah, that's super cool.
And
Yep.
security it's just nice to be known that everything's going to be okay.
When I joined, I did it almost on the same thing you're saying. Is I didn't do it there to go there and sell my company. I went there to the first time I visited. I'm seeing all the different people, and almost every time somebody stood up and did a commercial, it's like, hey, I could use your services. Or I know somebody that. Oh, I wished I would have talked to you a year ago. Right. And so I think when I joined, it was more along the lines of, I just wanted that network of people to be able to have the resources to reach out to people instead of going and finding somebody you don't know online and you have no idea what you're
Oh my
getting.
gosh.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
see this
Absolutely.
person every week. I know them by name. I have their personal cell phone
Absolutely.
number. I can message, and I mean, I talk to so many people in that group now outside of everything. I could text them. I needed services from one of the guys last night. Got the number from Kim.
Yep.
Messaged him at 8 o'clock at night. I was on the phone with him 10 minutes later. He's giving me all the information I need. And hey, Kirk, how are you? How's it going?
Right.
That's a completely different experience than going online or and searching, whatever
Exactly.
near me and
Exactly.
randomly calling people.
Exactly.
Right? So.
Agreed.
So you have that. There's a lot of advantages in the BNI group as well. Now you're in the group, right? So as much as you're trying to pass work, now you hear somebody say about painting, you're going to pass my name.
Absolutely.
I'm going to pass your name. But now you have 25 or 35 or 45 people in this room
Doing
that
the
when they
same
hear
thing.
electric, they're like, hey, I got a guy.
Right.
Right? I know a guy. And then it also gives you the point of referral. So now I've got people now that call me and say, hey, Kirk, do you know
got a
anybody
guy that does, yeah.
And it's like,
I
because
get that too.
I've gotten you so many, other
Exactly.
things that now you just like call
Exactly.
me like I'm the phone book.
Right.
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 And so,
The days of the phone book.
Oh, wow.
In 10 years, if anyone's listening to this podcast, they're going to be like, what was a phone book?
Yeah. My kids know nothing about a phone book.
Right.
Right.
No, but
Or
it's
encyclopedia.
true. It's true. And
Yeah.
that is one of the things I love about BNI because unfortunately, it is uncommon for a small business owner to take accountability for what they produce as their final product. And if you're in a BNI chapter, that person they're not ashamed. They give you
Right.
they give you a quote, they give you a price, they do it. You're going to see them again next week. They're not hiding. We
Right.
have people in our chapter that say, look, a good referral for me is someone who wants to get a second opinion because I can't tell you how many times they've been quoted by somebody they found online or through Nextdoor or, just word of mouth. And then that person does like half the work, takes the money, and then doesn't come back to do the work. No one in BNI would do that because
Right.
you're gonna see them every week.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
you know that you're
Accountability.
yeah, exactly. It's all about accountability. So you usually know when you're giving a referral to somebody within the BNI chapter that they're at least on that same level where they expect to give a quote, give you a product that they're proud of because they're going to see you every week. And if they're not able to give you a product that they're proud of and that you agree on, that you work it out,
Exactly.
because things happen but you've got a relationship that way.
Exactly.
It's very cool.
Trust
Well,
and accountability.
yeah, we love
Yeah.
your story. I know I do. I actually could talk about electricity forever because I'm kind of fascinated by the whole thing.
Yeah, shocking.
So it is shocking. It's absolutely shocking. I've been shocked many times. My dad usually would do the electricity at my house. Rory now does it, and I don't believe in anyone other than a licensed electrician doing your electric work. It has. I'm petrified of
you mean
electricity.
you don't want a foot doctor doing heart surgery on you?
No.
Yeah. It's cheaper.
Yeah, exactly. Some
Cheaper.
things
I
are
could
worth
get
the
it cheaper.
money. Some things are worth the money. And
Some
I'd
things,
say
yeah.
using a licensed electrician like Lamar is one of those things. Oh, by the way, Kirk, I wanted to tell you, did you know that Lamar, it's actually French for the ocean, the sea?
Let's see.
How is it? I mean, he's like Poseidon over here. I
Yeah.
mean, he was named
See my
after.
trident?
So we hope you enjoyed our episode. And if you did, then please subscribe and leave us a review to help us reach even more listeners. So until next time, remember that every train wreck can be a stepping stone to something extraordinary. And thanks for joining us on the Cleveland Burning Podcast.